Who's you? Kinamagi and Ireland Indigenicas, and welcome to this production of Social Studies Explorer. Today's episode, Chapter 6, Section 9, Winning the Revolution. We are now reaching the section of the American Revolution where the war ends. We'll be focusing on events like Yorktown and the Treaty of Paris. Keep in mind at the beginning of this war, the Americans were considered heavy underdogs. And in fact, King George, remember, assumed that the war would be over quickly. It's likely even a number of those who were pro revolution didn't expect it to go this far. After the long, tough winter at Valley Forge and the formal intervention of the French in February of 1778, the soldiers who survived had received new training and assistance from the new military leaders that joined the Patriots' cause. French intervention, when one nation enters the affairs of another, changed the war. Now, Britain had two battles to fight, one against the colonists and one against France. Britain sent thousands of troops to the Caribbean to attack the French colonies, and this left fewer troops to fight in North America. Also, Washington had gained the assistance of many skilled European soldiers who helped him train the inexperienced Continental troops. Most of the first battles of the war had been fought in the Northeast. Current states of Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey. The battles that decided the outcome of the war took place in Georgia and the Carolinas. The British wanted the battles to move to the south because they believed the areas were full of loyalists ready to fight for the British. They were wrong. Most loyalists were too afraid of their patriot neighbors to fight, and many still remained neutral or chose to stay out of the war. Still, the British seemed to win important battles in such places shown below: Camden, South Carolina; Charleston, South Carolina; Savannah, Georgia. Even though the British won in the cities, they were losing in the countryside because of the patriot fighters like Francis Marion. His nickname was the Swamp Fox because he was as clever and quick as a fox. He and his small band of men knew the Carolina countryside well and attacked the British with hit and run raids. General Nathaniel Greene had taken over command of the American Continental Army in the South. Prior to General Greene's command, the war in the South had not been going very well, but Greene put in some of the new hit and run tactics that Marion and his men were using. That resulted in American victories and caused the British Army to retreat to the East Coast. Of all the battles in the Carolinas, Greene said, "We fight, we get beat, rise, and fight again." These new fighting methods left the British at a loss. They liked to fight the traditional battles in which two armies stood still, faced each other, and shot. These battles showed that the most powerful army in the world was no longer winning. We fight, get beat, rise, and fight again. Nathaniel Greene probably should get a lot more recognition for his instrumental role in us winning the war, and I encourage you to spend a little bit of time looking deeper into him. Surrender at Yorktown. British General Cornwallis had retreated to Yorktown, Virginia, where he thought his troops would be safe. Washington marched south from New York with thousands of French and Patriot soldiers. The French Navy sailed north from the Caribbean to meet him. The British Army was now surrounded at Yorktown. They were greatly outnumbered by the French and American troops. For 11 days, the American forces bombarded, which means bombed, the British. Finally, Cornwallis sent out the white flag for surrender. He originally made a lot of demands to George Washington for his surrender, but Washington didn't agree. When the American troops started to prepare for another attack, Cornwallis agreed to Washington's terms, and the battle was over. On October 19th, 1781, he was forced to surrender. He gave up and admitted he was defeated. Well, he sent someone else to do that work for him. A little bit of a coward when it came to being a sore loser. Question presented here. Do you believe the Patriots could have won the war without intervention from France? I want you to be able to, if asked, to support your opinion with information from what you have learned about the Revolutionary War. Next lesson will be the Treaty of Paris. There's a lot more that can be said about Yorktown, and I hope that you will continue to be inquisitive. But for today, I encourage you to return to the Google Classroom and complete whatever task remains there for you. Have a minute, Gijigad. Minwa. Pamapi.